Hello, internets. I'm Zells, the channel is Zellspeak, and the rumor that I push team members off cliffs during trials is utter nonsense. I don't know where people get these ideas. And welcome back to my ESO Group Dungeon Quest and Lore series. All of the talky talk and almost none of the fighting because I'm that kind of nerd, and hey, you came back, so you are too. So let's go jump into Banished Cells Part 2. I was originally going to jump from that promontory up there where the castle is, but it turns out that it's inaccessible to players, to the dev that put all of those invisible walls up there. Why do you hate fun? So let's head on in. And I can't help but notice that the name of this dungeon quest is The Plan and not, for example, Sirion's Tea Party. I was really kind of excited about the tea party idea, but I'm beginning to suspect that's not what's going to happen.
Poor Sirion! You don't want to play with your fellow keepers?
They are not keepers. Not any longer.
They selected an intelligent course of action. What better way to keep rickety old Rilis in check than a few Daedra?
I will find a way to silence you, Rilis. You've become too dangerous to imprison.
If you want to silence me, you'll need power like mine. Daedric magic. What is there to fear? I was a mere kinlord. You are a keeper. Surely you can resist corruption where I fell.
Stop!
Your oath is to keep me imprisoned, Keeper. What does it matter how you
Be
do?
silent!
You could accomplish so much. The enemies of Auridon brought low by the power of the Keepers.
Were that I could lay my hands on you and choke the life out of you all over again. You've returned. I hope you have fared better in your travels than I. For a moment, I imagined you were a Daedric illusion. Rilis and his Daedric thrall have been a menace to me.
Define real.
Every moment, the spirit of High Kinlord Rilis jeers and plays tricks on me. He haunts these walls, and I am his keeper, his warden, the only one left. Rilis has swayed the other keepers to his side, and plans to attack Tamriel from his prison.
It's cool, we got this. What's the plan?
You are a hardened lot. Very well, I have a gamble in mind. We do what Rilis wants, and disable the stones that bind his soul to this prison. He will then enter this plane, where we can slay him. Though he could do the same to us. Can I rely on you?
That's your plan? Do what he wants?
3 of the binding stones are up ahead. Each keeper defends a stone, so be prepared to face them. And be wary of Rilis. He will no doubt attempt to speak with you. I will prepare for a direct battle with him and meet you at the 4th stone.
So how's all this work again?
We are warders of the Banished Cells, sworn to stand watch on Rilis the 12th. Our lives are tied to this place. Each keeper was once a champion of Auridon, with titles, friends, and family. Now there is only our post. My friends have abandoned theirs.
And the other keepers just signed up, huh?
As you remember, Rilis attempted to escape. Though we contained him, he would have won, had you not been with us. Afterwards, the keepers turned to the same Daedric magic that Rilis used, hoping to match his strength.
And then?
I warned them against this folly, and did not partake in the pacts they made with whatever Daedra they contacted. But they are enthralled now, and they serve Rilis. They will protect the binding stones with their lives, so be ready for a fight.
If we're doing what he wants, how come the keepers aren't bringing us stones?
The spirit of Rilis the XII is imprisoned here. He was a madman, and the crimes he committed were such that, upon death, his son sealed his spirit here. Rilis's magic was so powerful that the prince would not risk that death would stop his father.
So tell me, how did it all start?
Many in the Rilis family have fallen to madness. It strikes at different points in their lives, but it seems inevitable. The Daedra sometimes play a part, as they did with Rilis the XII. But I suspect something more. It could be in their blood.
You don't say.
To truly defeat him, we must slay him on Nirn. Otherwise he will persist forever. And the fact that he has enthralled the Keepers has proven we can no longer risk his presence in any form.
Obviously, Rilis the XII is active again, or still, and the other Keepers are his thralls. I would give Sirion props for standing tall, but he's really just a different kind of broken. We've heard this story in bits and pieces, but let's take a look at the way Sirion just laid it out. When R12 was arrested, his legitimate son, Rilis XIII, took power. R13 believed there was too great a risk that killing his father would just make him more dangerous, so he called for R12 to be imprisoned eternally, and Sirion vowed on his life to do that. But he just told us that he has unilaterally decided to do the exact opposite thing of what he swore he would do. He is a keeper who has decided he will no longer keep. He's doing that because he believes it's the right thing to do, and that his orders to keep are wrong. But if breaking his vow and going against the will of his liege is right, then much of the structure of Sirion's life is wrong, or at least deeply flawed. I suspect it's in their blood, he said. Sirion has done lost his religion, as they say in the South. His liege has bad blood in a genetic, mental, and spiritual sense. He is about to violate the oath that he swore his life to uphold, and it appears to me that the only thing that has been keeping him upright was the hope that another batch of strangers would wander into the prison and agree to his plan, a plan which involves killing him. So, yeah, Sirion's not okay. I gotta say, I have given Sirion a lot of crap, and spoiler, I'll be giving him more, but I do have to give him props for the fact that he is going out this way and not like a thrall.
Ah, that's much better. I'd say it feels like I regained the use of a limb. If I had any. Ah, here come some new friends. Let's see if I've still... Slaughter! Still delightful after all these years.
I called Sirion's bona fides into question last video, and I'm going to have to walk that back, because it turns out that the most important quality for a keeper is being sanctimonious, and we all know that Sirion is indeed excellent at that. Dude, my bad. I still don't think that this is what he had in mind when he asked his father-in-law for a nice quiet posting out of the way somewhere, though. Regardless of how many lifetimes Sirion thinks it's been, the Mages Guild was founded about 260 years ago ESO time. Some elven mages live for thousands of years, but for a typical high elf, 200 is old. Sorendil, R12's illegitimate son that we met outside in the prologue, can't be more than 150, and he comes across as much younger than that.
I'm impressed with the Keepers. It takes a strong will to control a Daedroth of that size. I wonder what Daedra you could bend to your will.
I come to only one conclusion. The Banished cells exist in its own little pocket dimension where time moves differently, and that's why all of the Keepers have to be bound here, because otherwise that'd just be a terrible, terrible plan. If that fan wank doesn't work for you, you're welcome to grab one of your own, but let's move on and talk about First Hold. It's possible Vanus came to First Hold to start because he knew that R12 had a weakness he could leverage. It's also possible it was just the first available job opening as First Mage. But the name of the place is First Hold, and that matters. First Hold was one of the first successful Altmer settlements on the island of Oridon. Protected by its beautiful cliffs, the Altmer settlers entrenched, expanded, and went on to exterminate all other sentient life on Oridon. By the nature of the land, the temperament of the people, and the local history, Firsthold is a place from which Altmer take root and conquer.
Borane lies ahead. I never liked him. He hums off-key.
Which means on a metaphysical level that has become, or always was, the magical energy of that place.
I'll see you dead before you harm this stone.
I marvel at your efficiency. You really are quite good at killing keepers. Here, let me take
There's no lore that indicates that was part of Vanus's decision, but it feels a little too on the nose to be a coincidence to me. What Vanus needed was a place to build from, a place where he could entrench, expand, and conquer. But remember, Vanus was a servant. He had no land of his own.
Daedric power is not granted cheaply. The Keepers are paying for their new powers with their service to me.
The Altmer believe that they are descended from the Aedra, but they also believe that in the lower castes that divine connection has been muddied almost beyond value. Regardless of Vanus's opinion about his own relevant worth to society, as a lowborn, in order to work within that paradigm, Vanus had to find a noble to provide a connection to the land for him. I'm speculating here.
Your blood will temper my thirst. Your bones will end my famine.
But the reason I think that was important is because Vanus wanted to change the world, and in Elder Scrolls, if you want to change the world, you need a tower, and a tower has to be grounded. What do I mean by tower? Okay, quick run through tower basics.
Look, such power I have now. Almost like the old days.
When the Aedra formed reality, they started with a central shaft, and reality spread out from that. Imagine a pencil stabbed halfway through a sheet of paper. That genesis structure is called the Tower. Means first, so it's also referred to as the first tower. It is entirely insubstantial. It is a metaphysical structure only.
How easily you slaughter Daedra and Keeper alike. How much more powerful could you be made with my gifts? You are fascinating.
But it is such a primal essential power in Mundus that it has physical reflections all over Tamriel, such as the White Gold Tower, the Crystal Tower, and the Red Tower. The only way to really understand towers is by metaphor, and all the metaphors are equally right, and all of the metaphors are equally limiting. You can think of a tower as a tube, pulling in metaphysical energy on the ends and transforming it into matter. Another way of looking at it is to say that a tower broadcasts a signal that becomes the world.
To me, my friends!
Each of the physical reflections of the towers sing a song that shapes the area around them. The White Gold Tower, built by the Aelids, sings a song of political dominance. Alessa took over the control panel in her slave rebellion, but she didn't change the output signal, and thus the Empire was born. The Crystal Tower sings a song of the perfection of stasis, and the Red Tower sings a song of heartbreak and betrayal. If Vanus built the tower, and I'm still just making stuff up here, his tower would sing of a love of learning and the need for it. If you want to pull in metaphors using the Elder Scrolls, you could say Vanus made his mark on that palimpsest by taking the iconic singular Mage's Tower and moving the apostrophe to make it a plural Mage's Tower. Now, I'm not saying I know that that's how Vanus did it, but I am saying that all of those magical theories, concepts, and tools were in his toolkit when he left the Psijics.
You've made it through alive. The other keepers must be dead then. A part of me wishes it were not so.
Just a part?
Good. Our task to eliminate the High Kinlord Rilis is the only one that remains. and Rilis will need a mortal host to enter Nirn.
Explain this again.
I will serve as Rilis's host. His spirit will take over my body, but he will be bound by my mortality. If we are killed, Rilis will die. From there, it's straight to oblivion for him.
Sure, let's do this.
Wait until I am in position. Then you must undo the final binding stone. He will emerge, and you will do battle. Fight well. You fight for all of Tamriel.
Usually, yes.
Hold nothing back! I break my oath as Keeper to see Rilis finished, and if he escapes, all of Tamriel will pay for our folly.
If a tower is going to work, it has to have both a physical and metaphysical aspect. Given the Altmer belief system, a member of the Altmer High Nobility could be used to initiate or power such a link, enough at least to have given Vanus a toehold. If this was the approach that he took, then Rilis XII would have been tailor-made to suit that function. You may remember in Part 1 I said that Molag Bal was using Rilis XII as a threshold to step into and transform Nirn. That's part of why I believe Vanus did it first. A creature like Molag Bal is clever, but not truly creative in the way that we think of the word. Daedra as a whole tend to steal and mimic rather than innovate or invent, and it's much easier to get magical traction on a path that someone else has blazed first. A thing done once is easier to do again. A thought had once is easier to think again.
I've wanted this for so very long. Now get out of my way! All of Tamriel will learn I am free when I
Rampant fangirl speculation aside, Rilis XII gave Vanus Galerion permission to build on his ancestral land. Now it's a little less than 3 centuries later, and R12 has spent most of that time marinating in his own crazy sauce, while Vanus is a king of a kingdom without borders, an embassy in every town, and hundreds, if not thousands, of fawning, powerful acolytes who call him the Great Mage as though there has only ever been the one. Divethfir must love that epithet, right?
On your feet, Keeper.
Immaril, my fellow keepers, you are free? Did I succeed?
Thanks to you, the Keeper's oath is fulfilled.
We are free from Daedric corruption. We should have heeded your warnings.
I remember. Where is Rilis?
Banished from this realm. With hope all the way to oblivion.
Your sacrifice ensures he will never return.
What happens now?
We can lay our burdens down. Say your goodbyes to those who aided us. We'll be leaving them soon.
Thank you, my friends, for everything.
And now let's go look at our loot. The gear sets in Part 2 of a group dungeon will be the same as in Part 1, and Part 1 is always easier to run. So if you're new to group dungeons and you just want to farm Jailbreaker, head into Part 1 and look for the guy who can't kill 3 Banekin. He'll hook you up. We still don't get to put R12's head on the wall, or Sirion's for that matter, but the Maw of the Infernal is an acceptable substitute. And that's a wrap on Banished Cells. Banished Cells is the dungeon in Auradon, which is the first zone in the Aldmeri Dominion. Next up we'll be doing the group dungeon for the Daggerfall Covenant Zone 1, which is Glenumbra. So it'll be Spindleclutch. Spindleclutch! I have high hopes that's a Fiber Arts Guild. But for now, this is the end of the first dungeon in my ESO group dungeon quest and lore series. Click the thingies if you had a good time. You guys know how YouTube works. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Zells, the channel is Zellspeak, and until next time, may all your loot be leet.